Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Cloudlearnerpro channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about PowerShell modules part 3 guys. I'm going to talk about some PowerShell commandlets using which we'll perform some certain tasks here. Like I want to add some disks to the virtual machine, or I want to remove a disk from the virtual machine and how to re-add it. So all these tasks we'll try to perform using PowerShell. Let's go into Azure portal and perform these tasks in the Azure portal. Now I'm in the Azure portal guys. In the Azure portal, I already created a couple of virtual machines. In this, you can see Cloud VM, and I'm going to use some PowerShell commandlets and perform some tasks in this Cloud VM. I have launched this Cloud Shell. You can see the Cloud Shell is successfully launched. Let's say if I want to get the details of this Cloud VM, I'm going to run a particular command here that is get -azvm hyphen resource group. Here I'm going to provide the resource group name. After that, I'm going to provide the virtual machine name that is hyphen name. I'm providing Cloud VM. Once I hit on enter, I can get the details of all the virtual machine components. If you see, the virtual machine is currently in stop state. I'm going to run a command which is start-azvm resource group test.rg, and the name is cloud-vm. Once I hit on enter, it will try to start the virtual machine, and in case if there are no errors, it will start the virtual machine successfully. If there are any errors in this particular operation, here you will be able to see those errors. If I click on refresh, it should show me the status as starting the virtual machine. So it's started successfully, and we can see the status as running here. And below you can see the details: what is the operation ID, what is the status which is succeeded, and what is the start time and end time. In case if there are any errors, as I told, it will show you that error details as well. Now if I want to stop the virtual machine, so I'm going to type stop-azvm hyphen resource group name, that is test-rg. After that, I'll provide the VM name, that is hyphen name cloud VM. So once I hit on enter, after entering this command, it will ask me to confirm whether I really want to stop this virtual machine or not. I'm typing Y letter here and then hitting on enter, which will try to stop this virtual machine. That means it will try to deallocate the virtual machine. You can see the status, it is showing as deallocating. That means it is trying to stop the virtual machine by releasing the CPU and memory components. So once this operation gets successful, we can see this same details like what is the operation ID, what is the status, and what is the start time and end time. All those details we can able to see. Normally, when you're stopping a virtual machine, it will take a bit of time. I believe when I'm stopping from the PowerShell also, or this Cloud Shell also, it will take a bit of time. So let's wait for that operation to complete. Once that operation completes, I'll show you some other commandlets using which we can perform addition of data disk and removal of data disk from the virtual machine. And this operation might take a couple of minutes. So if it is taking longer time, then I'll try to trim it to short, and then I can go to the particular concept of adding a disk and removing the disk. Let me go and refresh the virtual machine once and see whether the status will get changed to deallocated. Yes, I can see the status has stopped and deallocated in the Azure portal, but in the Cloud Shell, it is still not giving me the complete output. Let us wait for a while. Yes, now I can see the operation ID, what is the status, and what time it started and what time it ended. So like this, you'll be able to get the details, guys, when you're stopping and starting the virtual machine using this Cloud Shell window. Let's go to the next task, that is adding the disk to the virtual machine. Here I'm running a particular command which is $VM equal to get -azvm. Then I'm providing hyphen resource group name. After that, hyphen VM, which is the cloud VM. Once I hit on enter, whatever the output for get-azvm resource group and the hyphen VM result will be added to this $VM variable. That means when I run $VM variable, I'll get the output of get-azvm resource group and cloud VM. So those results I'll get. If I put $VM dot and if I hit on tab, I can able to see all the particular commands that I can run with $VM. Since I am going to run a particular command using which I want to upgrade the size of virtual machine, so I'm going to use one of the variable here, which is called as hardware profile dot VM size. Because I have already tested it, that is the reason I can see the cache which is available on the top. So when I'm running $VM dot hardware profile dot VM size, and then I'm going to set some virtual machine size, like say the current virtual machine is running with standard ds1 underscore v2. Now I'm running standard ds2 underscore v2. That means the hardware profile for this virtual machine will be set to standard ds2 v2. It is not yet updated in the virtual machine plate because we have to update the virtual machine configuration. For that, I'm going to run update hyphen azvm hyphen vm. After that, I'm going to give $vm, guys, because whatever the variable we have kept here, $vm, it will have the result of get hyphen azvm. Then I'm providing resource group and test.rg. Once after I hit on enter by providing this command, it will go and update the configuration of virtual machine. So which component it will update here means it will update virtual machine size, guys. Currently it is at ds1 v2, right? Once this update operation gets successfully completed, the standard ds1 v2 virtual machine size will get changed into standard ds2 v2. So in case if you want to upgrade or downgrade, what you have to do, you have to just set the value at the point where you can see hardware profile dot vm size. Now I can see this operation is successfully completed. There is no errors. It is showing us everything is true. Okay. Now if I go to Azure portal and if I click on refresh, I should be able to see a new virtual machine size that we set in the Cloud Shell. See, now I can see ds2 v2. So this is the new size that we updated for the virtual machine. I can say the command is working perfectly. So this is the process of updating your virtual machine size, guys. So you can upgrade or you can downgrade the virtual machine size by using the Cloud Shell. Now if I go to the disk blade, you can see there is one disk that is attached in this virtual machine, which is a OS disk. Same likewise, if you want to attach one data disk to the virtual machine, what is the process? Let's go and understand. For that, I'm going to run some commands, guys. So basically, first we have to create one disk. For that, I'm setting disk configuration. $disk configuration equals to new hyphen az disk. I'm going to configure some disk. I'm saying new hyphen az disk config. Then I'm going to provide a SKU name. In Azure, we have different SKUs, like we have premium disk and we have standard disk. So I'm going to give the SKU name here as premium LRS. Once after we set the SKU name as a premium LRS, then I'm providing the location of this particular resource group. So where I want to create the resource group, I'm going to provide it hyphen location. I'm providing West Europe. Then a create option, like when you're creating your Azure disk, you'll have multiple options. So I'm going to create it as a empty disk, and then I'm going to provide a disk space or disk size, we can say hyphen disk size. I'm going to give some value for it in the form of GBs. I'm going to provide it as 50 GB, guys. Creation option and the disk size. So now the value is set. We have not created the disk, but we have set the value. Now I'm going to give another variable, which is new disk dollar equal to new hyphen az disk, and then I'm going to give hyphen disk name. I'm going to provide one disk name here. The disk name will be data hyphen disk hyphen 01. So I'm attaching one data disk to the virtual machine. So I'm providing a name here as data disk 01. Then we have to give some configuration, right, for this data disk. I'm going to say hyphen disk space $disk config. So whatever the $disk config values or the commands we have provided on the above, that will come and apply at this $disk config. Then I'm going to provide hyphen resource group because we are going to run this command to create a new disk in a resource group, right? So I'm providing hyphen resource group. We have already created a resource group, so I'm providing the existing resource group. Once I hit on enter, it is giving some warning message that is fine for us, no problem. So it is going to create one disk for us. So the disk is created. Now, if I want to get the details of this disk, which is created by running a simple command, that is get-az disk, and then you'll have to provide the resource group name where your disk is created. After that, you'll also have to provide what is your disk name. Once you provide all these variables, you will be able to get the details of the disk. So I'm running the command get hyphen az disk hyphen resource group name hyphen disk name. Then I'm providing a disk name which is data disk 01. Once I hit on enter here, I can able to see the details of the disk that I created. So by just running a simple command, you can get all the details of the disks. In case if you want to apply any filter for this particular command, even you can apply the filter. Like I just want to get the name of the disk or size of the disk. Now we can see using this command, I can able to pull the disk name and the disk size. So we can run a simple command now, which will give the details of a virtual machine, guys. Now I'm going to run $VM equal to get-az VM and resource group name and VM name. This we have already ran. So I'm just going to run $VM pipeline, select name. So it will give me the virtual machine name as Cloud VM. So once I go and hit on enter, it is going to give me the virtual machine name as Cloud VM. So that means whatever the variable we are running for Cloud VM, we'll be selecting a Cloud VM for the dollar variable. So in the next command, I'm going to use $VM variable, guys, for doing some updates or changes. I'm going to run here $VM equals to, I'm running a command which is add hyphen az VM data disk. That means I'm adding a data disk to the Azure virtual machine. So after that, hyphen VM, then I'm providing $VM. So $VM will be taking the Cloud VM. That's why I ran that $VM command on the above line. Then I'm providing a name of the data disk. Hyphen name equals to the name of the data disk, which is data disk 01. So this was the name of our data disk, right? And then a create option. What is a create option here? I'm going to create it as attach. I'm not creating it as empty disk. Now I'm going to attach it because we have already created the disk. So I'm going to attach it. Then we have the manage disk ID, because when we are attaching a disk, we have to provide one disk ID to the virtual machine. So this manage disk ID, you can just add dollar new disk. So this was the command which you have ran before. So I'm just adding dollar new disk dot id and learn equal to 1. So once I hit on enter, those details were updated. Now I'm going to update the virtual machine where I have just given a virtual machine name. So if you're giving just a virtual machine name, it will not work. So you have to set that virtual machine name to a dollar variable. You remember on the top I have set $VM, which is giving Cloud VM. So like that you have to set, and then you have to hit on enter. So to give you that error message, I have ran that with the Cloud VM and I got that error message. So now I'm running with $VM variable, so which is going to execute successfully and give me the output as successful. So once this command gets successfully updated, that means this disk will be added to the virtual machine. So now we can see the operation is completed successfully. So which means the data disk is added to the virtual machine. Let me make the window little small. That means the Google Chrome view, let me make it little small so that we can see the disk which is attached to the virtual machine now. So I'll just go and click on refresh. It is not visible. Let me make it little more small. Now I can see the data disk 01 in the Azure portal. So this is the process of creating and adding a disk to the virtual machine, guys. Now like the same, we will create one more data disk and we'll attach to the virtual machine. We have created data disk 01 with some configurations, right, like 50 GB and all. Now I'm going to run the same commands. I'll just change the variable, like from 50 GB I'll change this particular configuration to 100 GB. That means I'm going to create a new data disk with 100 GB configuration. Then I'm going to run the next command, that is going to create the disk. So if you remember, dollar new disk, which is going to create with a disk name. So I'm changing here new AZ disk, which is data disk 02. I'm providing data disk 02 as the disk name. Then it is going to take the disk configuration from the above command, which is 100 GB that I have provided in the above command line. Now, if I go and hit on enter, it will give me the same warning message. This warning message is fine for us. Now I'm going to run the next command, which is going to give me the disk name and the disk size. You have already seen this command in the previous example. I'm just going to change the disk name to data disk 02, guys. So once I hit on enter, I can see the disk name as data disk 02. Now I'm going to run the $VM variable, guys, because we need to get this $VM variable in the next commandlet. So I have run this. Now I will go and run the next command, that is $VM space pipeline, and then select name. So which is selecting the cloud virtual machine. Now I'm going to run the next command, which will add the data disk to the virtual machine. So here what I'm going to do is I'm not changing much details apart from the LUN number to 0 and the data disk name as and data disk 02, because we have already added data disk 01, right? Now we are adding data disk 02. So I have changed that name, and then I have mentioned the LUN as 2, and I hit on enter. So which will add the disk to the virtual machine. After that, I'm going to run the last command, that is to update our virtual machine. So to update our virtual machine, I'm running update-azvm, VM name, $VM, resource group name, test.rg. Once I hit on enter after updating this command, this will go and attach the second data disk to the virtual machine, guys. Once this operation gets successful, we will go to the Azure portal. We can see the operation is successfully completed. Let me go into Azure VM plate, and there we will see whether the data disk is added successfully or not. I'm going to minimize this Cloud Shell window. At present, I can see only data disk 01, guys, because I have not refreshed this page. Once I click on refresh, I can see both the disk that we attached using the Cloud Shell. I can see data disk 1 and data disk 2. Data disk 1 is 50 GB configuration and data disk 2 is 100 GB configuration. So I believe now you can able to perform this particular task by using Azure Cloud Shell or PowerShell, and you can attach a disk to the virtual machine with XYZ configuration like 50 GB, 100 GB, 500 GB. As per your requirement, you can create a new data disk and you can attach that disk to the Azure virtual machine. In case if you are finding any issues or challenges in performing this lab, what you can do is you can mention your comments of error messages in the comment section, so that I can go through it and I can review it, and I can also give you some solutions based on your error messages. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are feeling the content that I am uploading is informative to you. And now we will go and perform the next step of labs, that is to remove this data disk from the Azure virtual machines. So for that, I'm going to open the Cloud Shell again, and just I'm clearing this outputs. Now I'm going to detach this data disk from the virtual machine. So it is very simple, guys. You just need to run the same command again, that is $VM variable command, which will get the virtual machine details. And once after that, I'm running the another command, that is remove hyphen azvm data disk. This is the command that we have to use to remove the data disk from virtual machine. So I am running the command like remove hyphen az vm data disk hyphen vm $VM. So the $VM is executed in the above line. Then name. So the name is data disk name, guys, not the virtual machine name. So here you'll have to provide a data disk name. So once you provide the data disk name, right, you can hit on enter. So once you hit on enter, it will give you the details of the particular operation. If the operation is successful, you can see the remove operation provisioning state has succeeded. Once you remove it, again you'll have to go and update the virtual machine, guys. See, in the portal it is not removed. You have just removed it by using Cloud Shell, but it is not updated to the virtual machine. So if you want that settings or configuration to be applied to virtual machine, you have to update the virtual machine configuration state. We can see the command is successfully completed. I'm going to Azure portal and I'll click on refresh, and then I can see one disk is removed here from the Azure portal. If you want to remove the other disk which is there in the Azure VM, we can go to Cloud Shell and we can run the command which is remove hyphen azvm disk, that is Azure virtual machine data disk. Remove hyphen az vm data disk hyphen vm dollar vm hyphen name data disk 01. Once I hit on enter, I can see the status which is showing as successful here. So that means the disk is removed from the virtual machine. Now I'm going to update the virtual machine to take this new configuration. For that, I have already ran a command, right? The same command I'm using here, which is update hyphen azvm hyphen vm dollar vm hyphen resource group test resource group. So we could see the another disk which is already attached to the VM, right? So that will be detached from the VM once this operation gets successful. So let's wait for this operation to get complete. I can see the status now as completed for this operation which we perform now. So that means the data disk 01 will be detached from the virtual machine. So let us go into Azure portal and verify the same. I'm minimizing this Cloud Shell window now, and I'm going to this disk blade. I'll click on refresh. I can see the disk is detached from the virtual machine. So this is the process of detaching the disk from the virtual machine, guys. Basically, you'll have to run a command which will remove the disk from the virtual machine. After that, you need to run the command which is update-azvm to get the new configuration for the virtual machine. Like say if you are attaching or detaching, you need to update the virtual machine state so that virtual machine will understand if there are any updates that are happened to the virtual machine in terms of disk or network or etc etc. Now the disks that we detach, those are residing in the Azure resource group only. Now I'll just clearing the content or results in the Cloud Shell. If you want to add this existing disk that are detached from the virtual machine, what you can do, you can just run the same command that you have used before to attach the disk to virtual machine. You don't need to run all the commands like creating and updating all those things. You just need to run a simple command using which you'll just add the disk to virtual machine, and after that you will just run a command which will be used to update the virtual machine configuration. So let me go and run that command using which I can able to add a disk to this virtual machine. That is the existing disk. I'm going to run the command which is $disk equal to get hyphen az disk, which is there in the resource group test hyphen rg, and the disk name is data disk 01. So this disk we have detached from the virtual machine, but we have not deleted, right? So I'm going to pull the details of this particular disk. So this value is set for $disk. Now I'm going to add this disk for this virtual machine. So before going and doing it, let's run one more command, that is $disk pipeline select name. So I can see the disk name as data disk 01. That means we are trying to get the correct data disk only. Now we will run the another command using which we can add the disk to virtual machine. Next, I'm going to run the command that is $vm equal to get hyphen azvm resource group name and VM name, which will get the virtual machine details. Now this command I'm going to run to add the existing data disk to the virtual machine. Once I hit on enter, this commandlets will help us to add the disk to virtual machine. Once after this, I'm going to run the last command, that is update hyphen azvm VM name $VM resource group test hyphen rg. So this is going to attach the existing disk that is residing in the resource group, guys, because we have just detached this disk from the virtual machine before. Now we are just adding that disk again to the virtual machine. Now I can see the status as successfully completed. Let us go into Azure portal and validate whether the disk is successfully added to the virtual machine or not. Let me go and minimize this cloud shell, guys, and after that I can see the cloud virtual machine disk. Once I click on refresh, I can see the disk that we just attached using the cloud shell. I think this is very simple. Even you can do this same task in your Azure free labs or Azure accounts. So in case if you are getting any errors, please mention those errors in the video comment section so that I can go through it and I can help you on the errors. Here comes the end of this particular video, guys. I really thank you everyone for watching the videos that I'm uploading in my channel and subscribing to my channel as well. If you want more content on a specific topic, please put your comments in the video section so that I can go through it and I can create some videos based on your interest and I can create more content like this. Please keep supporting my channel and spreading the love for my channel. Thank you so much.